Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How long will you keep waiting for someone else to give you permission to live the life you were born to live? This is not the time for hesitation. This is not the time for doubt. This moment right now is your awakening. Because deep inside you, there is a fire, a hunger to rise, to expand, to grow beyond the limits life has placed around you. You see, success is not a destination. It's not a mansion, a luxury car, or trophy you put on a shelf. Success is a byproduct. It's the natural result of who you become. Personal growth is not optional if you want to live a life of impact, of meaning, of deep satisfaction. It is the foundation, the seed, the source of everything great that will ever come through you. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to confront the stories that have kept you small. But hear me when I say this. Comfort is a cage. Growth is freedom. Every fear you face, every challenge you overcome, every skill you stretch and sharpen, it's all part of the process that sculpts you into your next level. Look back at your life for a moment. Think of the times you were the most proud of yourself. Were they easy times? Were they effortless? No. They were the times you faced the impossible and you moved anyway. You took a leap when your legs were shaking. You spoke up when your voice trembled. You acted not because you weren't afraid, but because you refused to be ruled by fear. That is growth. That is power. And guess what? You have infinite capacity. You haven't even scratched the surface of who you can be. The only limit is the one you continue to accept. Every day you wake up, you are standing at the edge of a new decision. Stay where you are, or step into who you were meant to be. Your potential is not a theory, it's a force. And when you tap into it, when you align with it, you become unshakable. You begin to attract success, not as a goal, but as a reflection of your identity. Because success doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you've become. Don't just chase success, build the habits, the mindset, the discipline, the courage that will attract it automatically. Stop waiting for the perfect time, it will never come. Stop looking for motivation. It's not what gets you moving. Decide, commit, act. That's the formula. That's the gateway. So here's what I want you to do right now. Get uncomfortable. Set a standard so high, it makes you sweat. Draw a line in the sand and say, this is the moment I rewrite my story. Take that dream, dust it off, breathe life into it, and move. Don't just dream about transformation becoming. Because the world doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs you fully awake, fully alive, fully committed to your greatness. Now go, build, break limits, grow so loud the world can't ignore you. This is your time. Make it count. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. These two forces, growth and comfort, are in direct conflict with each other. Comfort whispers to you, telling you to stay safe, play small, avoid risk. It wraps you in the illusion of ease and familiarity. But growth shouts. Growth demands. It calls you out of hiding. It doesn't care how scared you are. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It only asks if you're willing to stretch, willing to fail, willing to become more than you've ever been. Every great transformation begins the moment you step beyond what's familiar. Think about it. A muscle doesn't get stronger by staying relaxed. It grows when it's pushed, when it's torn down and rebuilt. The same is true for your mind, your character, your potential. If you're always choosing what's easy, you're building a life of limitation. But when you lean into what's hard, when you lean into the unknown, that's when you begin to build a life of purpose, power, and progress. Comfort zones aren't physical spaces. They're mental prisons. They're the invisible walls built by fear, doubt, and past failures. And as long as you live inside those walls, your dreams remain just that, dreams. Nothing changes until you make the decision to walk through the discomfort, to face what makes you sweat, to chase what makes your heart race. That's where the real magic begins. Not in the safety of routine, but in the fire of challenge. Growth is uncomfortable because it strips away excuses. It reveals the gap between who you are and who you're capable of being. It doesn't let you hide behind, I'm not ready, or maybe someday. It pulls you into the now. It confronts you with the truth that this is it. This moment, this challenge, this opportunity, this is your chance to evolve. When you start to embrace discomfort, something powerful happens. You realize it's not your enemy, it's your ally. Every time you step into something difficult, you grow. Maybe not instantly, maybe not without pain, but always with purpose. Discomfort becomes your training ground. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your will, and builds your confidence. You stop waiting for permission and start taking action. You stop seeking certainty and start trusting yourself. The greatest breakthroughs in life often come disguised as fear. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being good enough. But these fears are not signs to stop. They are signs to go. Because what scares you often marks the edge of your growth. And when you move past that fear, when you do the thing you thought you couldn't, you unlock a new version of yourself. A version that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. Staying comfortable might protect your pride, but it will never fulfill your potential. It's a short-term win that leads to long-term regret. Because one day, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the risks you took that haunt you. It was the ones you didn't. It wasn't the moments you fell that mattered, it was the ones where you never dared to leap. Growth asks for courage, not perfection. It asks you to try, to fail, to learn, and to rise again with even more determination. It asks you to stop playing small and start honoring the power that's been inside you all along. Comfort will tempt you with stillness, but stillness without growth becomes stagnation. And you were not made to stagnate. You were made to rise, to stretch, to break through the shell of who you were and step into the full force of who you can be. Every time you face resistance, every time you feel that tension of growth, that's the signal, that's the invitation. That's your moment to step forward instead of retreating, to lean in instead of backing off, to demand more from yourself. Because you know deep down there is more waiting within you. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you believe you are. Your identity is the foundation of every decision you make, every habit you form, and every result you create. People spend their lives chasing success, but the ones who achieve it consistently are those who first worked on who they are. Because when your identity aligns with your vision, your behavior follows naturally. No external force is more powerful than the internal story you tell yourself every single day. If you see yourself as weak, you will act in fear. If you see yourself as resilient, you will rise under pressure. And if you see yourself as unstoppable, challenges become stepping stones, not roadblocks. Your thoughts, beliefs, and self-perception shape your world more than any external circumstance ever could. You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond, and how you respond is dictated by who you think you are. The problem is, most people build their identity around their past, their failures, their traumas, their limitations. They say, I'm just not that kind of person, or that's just how I've always been. But that is a lie your comfort zone tells you to keep you small. Your past is not your identity. It's your curriculum. It's what you've gone through, not who you are. When you truly want to change your life, you must first change the blueprint. You must decide with full conviction the type of person you are committed to becoming, not someday now. You must say, I am the kind of person who shows up strong. I am the kind of person who keeps promises to myself. I am the kind of person who leads, who loves, who learns, who grows. Because once you own that identity, your actions will begin to align. It's no longer a question of motivation. It becomes about integrity. You do what that version of you does because that's simply who you are. The truth is, you are always proving your identity to yourself through your choices. Every time you hit snooze, every time you avoid that hard conversation, every time you break your word, you reinforce the version of yourself that is playing life small. But every time you push yourself, every time you follow through, every time you act boldly, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. It's not about faking it. It's about choosing to embody a higher standard and living it until it becomes your new normal. You must understand that identity is not fixed. It's not etched in stone. It's flexible. It's moldable. It's a decision. And it must evolve if your life is going to evolve. Because success at any level requires a new version of you. Not better in terms of worthiness, but stronger, more focused, more aligned. Every next level of your life demands the next level of you. And if you cling to outdated identities, like I'm not a leader, I'm bad with money, or I'm not disciplined, you will sabotage your progress without even realizing it. You'll keep falling into old patterns because they match your old beliefs. But when you rewrite those beliefs, when you upgrade your self-image, your habits shift, your results shift, your reality begins to transform. Because once you identify as someone who is driven, focused, and capable, you begin to make choices in alignment with that truth. It's not forced. It becomes who you are, and who you are becomes the magnet for the life you desire. People will say it's luck, but it's not. It's alignment, it's clarity, it's identity working as a force multiplier, shaping your actions, sharpening your decisions, and magnetizing opportunities that match your new frequency. The more powerfully you anchor into a higher self-image, the more effortless success becomes. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. You become the kind of person who creates the outcome instead of waiting for it. You step into your own authority. You stop needing external validation because your belief in yourself becomes your foundation. When your identity matches your destiny, you stop chasing success and start attracting it. Not through hope, but through alignment, conviction, and self-leadership. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about choosing what you want most over what you want now. It's not the enemy of freedom, it's the pathway to it. People often associate discipline with control or rigidity, but that's a limited view. True discipline is self-respect in action. It's the daily commitment to your future self. It's the unwavering decision to align your behavior with your highest standards. Even when no one is watching, even when motivation is absent, even when your feelings are screaming for comfort. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't get applaud, but it builds the foundation that everything great stands on. Look at anyone who has achieved extraordinary results in any area: fitness, business, relationships, mindset, and behind every success story, you will find relentless consistency. Not perfect days, not magical bursts of inspiration, just a pattern of showing up when it was hard, sticking to the plan when it was boring, and pushing forward when the excuses seemed valid. Discipline bridges the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. It transforms potential into power and vision into result. Without it, talent is wasted, motivation fades, and dreams dissolve into regret. The truth is, motivation is fleeting. It's like a spark. It might light you up for a moment, but it doesn't last. Discipline is the fire you build brick by brick, habit by habit, that keeps burning through doubt, fatigue, and setbacks. It's what gets you up early to train, even when you're tired. It's what keeps you studying, practicing, learning, when others are scrolling, binging, or relaxing. It's the muscle you flex every time you say, "Not now," to distractions, and "Let's go" to purpose. The more you flex that muscle, the stronger it gets. The stronger it gets, the easier it becomes to win. Not once, but over and over again. Discipline creates trust with yourself. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you're dependable, that you don't need to be pushed, that you can count on your own word. That trust becomes the core of your confidence. You no longer have to fake belief, you earn it. You no longer wonder if you're capable. You know you are because you've seen yourself rise. That inner certainty becomes a weapon. It makes you calm in chaos, steady under pressure, unstoppable in pursuit. But discipline doesn't always feel good. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to stretch you, to test you, to challenge your patterns, your excuses, your comfort. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers. Anyone can talk a big game when they're excited. Anyone can post about goals. But what really matters is what you do. When the excitement fades, when the mood is gone, when no one is clapping, that's the moment where champions are made in silence, in repetition, in the invisible hours when no one sees the grind. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan or the ideal time. You need discipline to take action where you are, with what you have. And the best part, discipline compounds. One choice leads to another. One small win builds on the next. Eventually, the person who used to struggle to get started becomes the one who can, and that's showing up. That's the transformation. Not instant, but inevitable for those who stay the course. Discipline doesn't remove your emotions. It gives you the power to rise above them. You still feel tired, afraid, tempted, but you don't let those feelings dictate your actions. You lead yourself through them. You make your future louder than your present. And in doing so, you gain something most people never touch. A sense of inner power that can't be bought, copied, or given. It's earned, it's built, it's forged through the fire of repetition, through the grind of daily decisions that no one celebrates, but everyone notices when the results arrive. Because the person who builds discipline doesn't just chase goals, they build a life they're proud of. They don't just chase achievement, they build character. They don't just rise in one season, they keep rising day after day because their success isn't based on circumstance, it's built on who they've become. Fear feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the louder it becomes. It grows in the silence of your delay, in the moments where you overthink, second guess, and hold back. But the moment you take action, even a small, shaky, imperfect step, you rob fear of its power. You shift the energy. You stop it from taking root in your mind. Because action does what fear cannot handle. It creates momentum. It turns what if into what now. It turns anxiety into energy. It turns paralysis into power. Action changes the conversation inside your head, from doubt to direction. You don't need to wait to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. If you wait for clarity to arrive before you move, you'll wait forever. If you wait for confidence, you'll stay stuck. Confidence doesn't come before the action, it comes from the action. It's built, not found. You earn it by doing the hard thing. You create it through repetition, through proof. Every time you move through fear, you build a stronger version of yourself. Every time you take action in the face of resistance, you shift from being someone who reacts to fear to someone who leads through it. The people who live extraordinary lives are not the ones who feel no fear. They are the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their decisions. They still hear the voice of doubt, but they don't follow it. They still experience the butterflies, the racing heart, the shaking hands, but they lean into it. Because they've learned that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement despite it. It's the choice to say yes to your future even when your past is screaming no. It's the refusal to be held hostage by your history, your insecurity, or your comfort. Action rewires your brain. The more you take action, the less power fear has over you. You begin to build a track record. You begin to remember that you're capable, that you've done hard things before, that you survived what you thought you couldn't, that you have what it takes. And soon what used to scare you becomes familiar. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. That's the power of taking action. It transforms your identity by proving you're stronger than you believed. Fear tries to forecast a future that doesn't exist yet. It shows you the worst case scenario, the imagined failure, the rejection, the humiliation. But here's the truth, 90% of the things you fear never happen. They exist only in your head. And they lose their grip the moment you decide to move. Because fear thrives in imagination, but action is grounded in reality. Once you begin, you shift your focus from outcome to effort, from what might happen to what is happening. And suddenly you're not a prisoner of fear, you're a creator of change. You will never eliminate fear completely. It will always show up when you're on the edge of growth, when you're about to step into something bigger, bolder, more meaningful. And that's not a sign to stop. It's a sign you're on the right path. Fear is the signal that you're entering unfamiliar territory. And unfamiliar territory is where breakthroughs are born. If everything feels safe, predictable, and easy, you're probably living inside a comfort zone that's slowly killing your potential. But if you feel fear, resistance, even a little bit of panic, that's where life is asking you to rise. Action also gives you clarity. Most people sit and wait for the perfect plan. But you don't find the right path by standing still. You find it by walking, by stumbling, by course correcting. You figure things out by doing, not by thinking about doing. That one phone call you're avoiding, make it. That business you've been sitting on, start it. That conversation you've been dreading, have it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel like it, now. Because every time you take action, you break the cycle. You silence the excuses. You prove to yourself that fear is just a feeling. It's not the truth. It doesn't define what's possible. It doesn't decide your future. You do. You decide by what you do, not what you hope for.